Hello and welcome StarCraft 2 viewers to another amateur cast done by myself, Kopo, on the Gaming Canucks YouTube channel. Hope you guys are excited as I are to watch some, I do believe it's solid Silver League play between our Red Terran up here, Serial, on the top half of the map, and the very ferocious, mighty Vorsoth, the Zerg, on the bottom half here. Map is Slag Pits. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with it. Personally, I hate it. Not gonna lie, this map causes me no end of trouble. Mainly because, maybe it's just me guys, but this natural expansion right here, I can see how you can like it. You know, myself, I play Terran. You can play some siege tanks up here. You know, protect the minerals down here. The third has got to be the most annoying thing to take in the world. This gold, there's no foreseeable way to defend it. If your enemy is attacking your third expansion, they have high ground up here. I don't see how you can defend it unless they don't know it's there. Basically meaning this map doesn't lend itself to macro games past two bases at all. For Zerg, very, very big problem. They usually like to get a second or even a hatch first is a very common Zerg play, so get that second base up and rolling. Their base structures, if you will, their hatchery, 100 minerals cheaper than the command center of the Nexus for Protoss and Terran. That obviously done purposely by Blizzard to ensure that Zerg is played as more of a macro race, get that expansion up quick, and well, it is their unit producing structure, right? I mean, they can build a baneling nest, spawning pool, roach warren, stuff like that to be able to build the units, but the hatcheries themselves are actually what produce the larvae to actually make the units. Zerg, very macro oriented race, does not lend itself well to this map at all. Wouldn't be surprised to see a 2-base Zerg here, not any sort of an all-in, but a 2-base Zerg timing push. If Zerg players thought that through, or thought that far ahead. Again, not the highest league of play, but hopefully he can do something with the map, because if he tries to take this to a macro match, he will likely fall to this Terran very, very quickly. Alright, time to do some shameless plugging of the channel. I know this is a part that most people hate in YouTube videos, but it's got to be done, guys. We got to get the views. Don't got to get the views, but we got to try and bring some attention to the lower league guys. Everybody knows, I think by now, if you've watched the first two videos, that the point of this channel is to get the views for the lower league players. They don't get enough attention in my mind. I mean, maybe that's just because I'm one, and maybe I believe they don't get enough attention. But as it is right now, they deserve some games casted too, and it never hurts if they see a game of theirs casted. It can help them improve. It can do whatever. I know myself, anytime I play a couple tournaments, and if I get a game casted, it does make me feel very good. I can listen to the VOD after and double check, make sure I was doing some stuff right, see if the commentators have anything insightful to say. Either way, guys, support this channel if you can, especially the lower league guys. I wouldn't mind getting some views from you, or send some replays in so we have something to do. Okay, that's done with my plugging in the channel. I do believe you guys have everything you need to know. Okay, to the action now, I guess. I'd missed a lot of things, but of course not anything particularly out of the ordinary for early game. No fancy cheese that I noticed of any kind. No proxy racks, no 6-pool. Very, very standard play from both sides. Terran's got 2 barracks up, a factory coming down, working off of only 1 gas, but his orbital command's solid. Definitely keeping on top of those mules by the looks of it. 2 barracks, tech lab coming down. Hopefully he gets some stim out of that. Would very much like to see that. Early stim timing push, even though they increase the build time with stim, still a very, very, not build time, research time, I guess. Still a very potent way for Terran to attack in the early game. Early to mid game, 8-9 minute range. If you can get a decent force of Marines Marauders with stim out there, it can very well punish any sort of one expanding Zerg. And the only reason a Zerg wouldn't be an expanding Zerg is if they were doing a very quick all-in type of push. Obviously not being seen by this Zerg, as we see his second hatchery going down to his natural. Again, very, very hard to defend for anybody except for Terran. Protoss might be able to put some cannons up here, but the spine crawlers just, I don't know. Never been a Zerg player myself, but the spine crawlers don't seem to do as good of a job as the siege tanks and the cannons do. I guess that's why they call Terran the best turtling race, because of those siege tanks. So we see an engineering bay down here at the Terran base. Hopefully see some upgrades out of that. Very much like to see that. As a Terran player myself, I like to get double engineering bays, get some double upgrades going. Make sure you keep that bio army upgraded. A 0-0 bio army, not nearly as effective as even a 1-1. With stim or without stim, definitely need the basic attack and armor upgrades for Terran, because your Marines don't have a lot of health. See a Marauder trekking down here, making the long journey. These guys spawned in cross positions, which definitely means the rush distance is quite long. Hopefully that maybe lends itself some drop play or some, Nidus Worms I'd like to see out of the Zerg, just something a little bit creative. This Marauder's going to walk up here, see absolutely nothing before he gets shot down. Likely, Baneling lost there, but not too big a deal for the Zerg. I don't think the Terran actually gained anything by doing that. Terran's expansion starting to come down here. Hopefully he can fly that off, lift it to his natural. Definitely something I've liked about playing as Terran. Ability to lift buildings, not going to lie, seems a little bit OP to me, but you get in a little bit of trouble and you're just like, I'm going to move my entire base over here. Why not? So Zerg getting his second base saturated. Very keeping a decent mix of army production and drone production. Toughest part of Zerg is deciding when to build an army as opposed to when to build drones. It's like a little bit of maybe oversaturation here, but if it is, nothing too big to worry about. Looks like Roach and the Banelings are the unit comp of the night for the Zerg. Banelings, of course, great against a bio army. Oh, before I go too much farther, we see a drop in the back of the natural by Terran for the Zerg, but this will be quickly stopped by Roach. Roach is threatening. Fortunately, Roaches can't attack air, so this medvac's safe for now, but if it goes near this queen, I would not like to be the Terran in that case. If you can micro away from that, it shouldn't be too big of a problem. We see definitely the Zerg is supply blocked right now. Hopefully, no Overlord coming out, but that should be very soon. Oh, 3 Overlords coming out, why not? Make sure that doesn't happen again for a while. Queen manages to fend off that medvac. It's going to return home a little bit mad about that. Didn't do enough damage with that really to make it worthwhile, but I didn't really lose anything either, so I guess it was just a little bit of extra micro. Expansion finished. Hopefully we see that lifted down and placed in the natural here. He could technically do this gold too. It has rocks blocking it. He can move his force down and destroy those if he wants. Not ideal to not destroy those rocks. Again, it can be done if the situation requires it. Both players being quite passive outside of that drop. I don't see drop of 2 Marines and a Marauder. I don't see any pressure at all, really. Zerg just continuing to mass up some Roaches and Banelings. Definitely needs the gas for that, but it looks like he's quite oversaturated. Well, not oversaturated, but he has an excess of gas that he can't spend fast enough, not enough minerals. Terran morphing his orbital command before he moves it over. Not a bad idea, not a good idea. Kind of in the middle of the road. I don't really care what he does that way. Factory with Tech Lab on it. I'd like to see some siege tanks out of that. Again, Terran is a very good turtling race, and if you get siege tanks and siege tech out, it is very hard to break a wall off at the front for any race. That is why TVTs most often turn out to be tank wars, because both races, they're being the same race, both sides are so good at holding the other side at bay that nobody ever really wants to attack, and it becomes a slow march of siege tanks. No upgrades out of this engineering bay yet. We see 1 turret out. I don't really know what was the point of getting that, but I'm sure he will enlighten us at some point. Third expansion coming down now for the Terran. He lifted his first one off to just outside the rocks of the gold, and appears to be mealing the gold. I'd like to see him get rid of these rocks. Hopefully he does that in the near future. Not ideal to have your command center so far away from your minerals. It makes that traveling time about twice as long for the mules. Makes them a little bit less effective. A lot less effective. See, Hydra is now coming out for the Zerg. Hydra is definitely not a very strong unit in StarCraft 2. They do have their purposes, though. They play the same roles as Stalker does for the Protoss. Hit ground and air. Just provides some little anti-air protection there, because Zerg, really all they have before that is Queens. We see +1 range coming down for the Hydras. That will allow them, I do believe, to outrange Marines by a little bit. I don't know if they outrange Marauders as a result. I think Marauders have a little bit extra range. Looks like they do. Still no upgrades coming down for the Terran, and he has supply blocked himself. Once again, he's got 3 supply depots coming down. He's doing that panic. When you realize that you're supply blocked, you instantly make 3. I'm guilty of it myself, but you know it is. Looks like Terran moved his force over here while I wasn't paying attention and destroyed these rocks like I told him to, but this is very bad. His army is caught out of position. Zerg appears to be moving in. Probably wondering why he's not seeing any army at all. Definitely should lead with these Banelings, though, because they do the most damage at the front, so they can break the wall. Looks like he's microwaving them separately, which is nice to see. He's going to move that big force of Hydra and Roche up to push the wall, and I don't like the Terran's chances here. That one bunker is not going to survive very long without an SCV repairing it. Even then, it wouldn't last. This small force is going to be cleaned up very, very handily. Banelings don't even have to do anything. Here comes this the actual army of the Terran. Maybe he can fend it off. I'm not really liking his chances. He's attacking from the low and the high ground, but Banelings move in, melt bio is what banelings do. That is their only goal in this game, is to melt bio, and they do it at a very, very alarming rate. Broke through the wall off here to the Zerg. Both are macroing, slipping a little, but it doesn't really matter. The Zerg's right now in the Terran's base. This expansion not currently doing anything at all, but I do believe the Terran understands right now that he's lost this game. It's just a simple matter of waiting for the good game to come out. Never did manage to fly the third expansion off. Would have liked to have seen a macro game out of him if he managed to do that, but the Zerg never gave him a chance. SCV's coming off the line to hopefully do a little bit last-ditch damage here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. 30 supply to 124 supply, not even close. This attack by the Zerg definitely just pushed Terran all the way to the brink. Siege tank, no siege tech done yet. That falls quickly. And I think that was all the Terran player had left. He's down to 12 supply. Zerg player's busy basically just cleaning up here. Overseer down here just chilling, not really needed at all because there's nothing cloaked for the Terran. One Blue Flame Hellion out, not going to do anything either. 2 meals. Terran still seems to be under the impression that he's in this. I don't really know why. Another siege tech coming out. Siege tech's done, but he's not going to siege tech that up. Yeah, siege tech that up is an official term now. Second force coming down by the Zerg. As if that first force wasn't enough, the second force will probably just make the Terran sit down and cry. That is not very nice at all. This engineering bay that did nothing all game has been destroyed. It's like I said, both players macro slipping, but I don't think it's a big deal. There comes the very capitalized GG from Serial. I am glad that he understood about 2 minutes after the Zerg force broke in that he was done. Not that I'm trying to bash anybody, I gotta really make that clear, but it was a little bit entertaining to watch him try and save this with non-sieged up siege tanks and 1 Blue Flame Hellion. Alright, well, we did see a decently entertaining game here. Again, I hate the map, but I love what the Zerg managed to do. He 2-based it very, very nicely, managed to build up a decent force, held off a drop by the Terran. Not that it was incredibly fearsome, but, you know, enough to maybe throw him off his game. It didn't, which is very, very nice to see. Silver League play again, guys. That's the type we're trying to cast. Bronze, silver, goldish league play. We can still see lots of room for improvement at that level, and I mean, that's the level we're at ourselves. So hope you guys enjoyed the cast, and I will be posting this up on YouTube very, very shortly, hopefully followed up by a couple more casts by myself and Skittles, co-creators of the channel. If you guys like what you see, send some replays in and we can cast them for you. Have a good night, guys.